Okay, ready. I think I'm ready. I'm nervous, but I'm ready. Okay. Yeah, I got some questions to ask and we'll see where it leads from there. Okay. Okay, good. I know. And it's scary because when people ask, like when I was in my interview with Black Hat, I didn't know what he's going to ask, and he asked questions that I was like not expecting, so I wasn't feeling Hello,
No,
am
hold
I
on.
here?
Nope.
Am I almost here?
There.
I'm good now? Okay. Hello, everybody. I am honored to be here today because I get to interview Days. Now, I'm a little nervous because it's not my stream, so I'm watching delay and everything else, but I am honored to be here to talk to Days. Days and I have been friends for quite a while. I don't know how long we've been friends for, Days.
I think it was since about February. I think so. About 5 months. 4 or
Yeah,
5
and
months.
we've talked quite a bit on stream, but also off stream. And I've had some of your story. We've talked about our belief systems and things that we've talked about. And I'm interested to have a nice chat tonight about you and learn about you even more.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be on my show.
Thank you for being on your show with me.
Oh,
I
thank you for hosting. I really appreciate it.
No problem at
You're one of
all.
the first ones I thought of to do
I'm
this.
honored to I'm honored to do it. Superman, hello. I'll say hi right away. I think you heard my voice before, but yes, I am here today in Day's stream. I wanted to talk first days and get like the base out of the way because this is something that we all like start with is our childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to bring you there first because I want to drive up the hill towards where we are now.
Okay.
And we all have that inner child inside of us, right? That drives even who we are today. So I think it's really important to start there. So I'd
Some
like you to
people, I
start
still have the
talking about.
child in me all the time.
We do, right? But and there's positives and negatives come with that, right?
Right. Absolutely.
So tell me about yourself as a child, like growing up. Did you grow up in Toronto, in the Toronto area, right? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
I grew up on the Danforth in Toronto.
Hmm.
Um, Typical city kid, you know. Our school was in walking distance back then. Like, didn't get driven there. Like, you know, it was the '70s. Um, my school was like 3 blocks away, cutting through the lane, and yeah, I was always a smart kid.
Hmm.
Um, too smart for my own good, I think, at times. Um, I guess I was labeled as the teacher's pet at times because I would actually start marking other kids' um, tests and whatnot because I'd always be first and I'd always be almost perfect every time.
Did
So
you find that you liked to did you find as a child, and correct me like if I'm completely off,
no,
did you
please.
find you're like a people pleaser or a friend pleaser? Do you know what I mean by that? Because I found I was like that.
Well, as a child, like we're talking like from first to sixth grade, I didn't really feel that way because in public school I was the one that was always bullied. So
Hmm.
I really didn't have a lot of good friendships there. I just tried to in school. I tried to avoid people whenever possible. Um,
Hmm.
as much as I wanted to participate in any sport or whatever game people were playing, I was sort of put on the side, um, saying, oh, the teams are going to be odd or whatever. But you know, so I don't know about people pleasing. Um, I guess when it came to the teachers and stuff like that, like I always wanted to be as good as I could for them. But at the same time, one of the faults I had as a child was that I'd always rush through everything.
Hmm.
Um, like I always had to be the first to uh, finish whatever work we had to do in the class, so I can go and goof off.
Were you a goof off a little bit?
Well, as I said, I'd like to goof off, but like back in those days, first, second, third grade, they had even though we had our work and everything, it was they also had a section for playing games or whatever, right?
Hmm.
So I was the first one to finish, so I'd be right there doing whatever while everyone else was still working, but I would get all the
Which is
stuff
it?
right. Like I get everything right. It's just that I rushed through everything because I could.
But that's what it's a smart thing too, because there are kids that will avoid, and sit there on their seats, basically not doing anything. And then they don't get to do something because they're waiting, like they're saying, "Oh, yeah, I'm not going to do the work." But rushing through it, getting it done, and going off to get the good stuff is really the smart thing to do when you think about
It is, except one, my I always got knocked down for my handwriting because it was always so sloppy.
it.
But then in the case with the other kids is that I was often ostracized because I guess I put off the persona that I was better than them,
Hmm. I
right?
can
So
understand that and relate to that.
yeah, so it was tough.
So then we're talking about grade school. So we went on to high school, and I know you like to play sport. You and I've talked about that before.
Yeah.
I know you enjoyed it.
Well,
And
I've always loved to play sports.
mhm,
Um, Prior to high school, let's go back to junior high. That was when I was in public school. The sport I really was able to do was all the individual sports like track and field and cross country,
mhm.
which I wasn't great. I was tall, but I didn't have a lot of muscles, so it was. Um,
But you enjoyed trying at least, at the very
I
least.
enjoyed doing it. Yeah, any sport I could get to play, I loved it. Like with phys ed and whenever I could play with other kids, it was great. I love playing sports.
So
Um, yeah.
sorry, I'm going to acknowledge Superman. Superman, your writing sloppy too. Mine is also sloppy. I am envious of people with tidy writing. And really, is it important now that we're adults? days, your opinion.
No, oh well. If you're a doctor, it doesn't matter at all.
Exactly.
But
The
the
smartest
thing is,
people,
I'm
the
not
worst.
sloppy. That's the thing. If I've had so many people say comment on how great my writing is, but it's
Then you're too
because
picky.
I'm so used. Yeah, I was so used to rushing so fast that now that I write slower, it's great. So
Hmm.
I don't know.
It's good, but I just find that school was a lot different back then. I mean, handwriting, they don't even do handwriting now. So let release yourself of that as a child. Everybody release it themselves of their handwriting issue as a
Right.
child. So when you went in, like you went into high school, obviously, and you'd already had obviously issues in school with friendships and relationships and things like that. And there's
Right.
many people I think that can relate to you in that way.
Hmm.
But you were still interested in sport. Is that true? Like you carried on with sports and keeping interested in those peak interests.
Yeah, I was sort of the odd duck in high school. Whereas, yes, I was into it. I was joining all the teams that I could. Tried out for them anyway.
Hmm.
I was in ninth grade, on the rugby team in school.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I was also in the chess and math club. So it
Smart
was a
clubs.
very odd dichotomy of my life here. And
Hmm.
like treasurer of the math club, that's cool,
But
um,
that's a skill like that. I know it seemed like at the when we're in school, it seems so bad because people think that they have opinions of people that are math and chess clubs. But really, I mean, those are. I mean, when you think about it as an adult, that's a brag, to be honest.
well, yeah, but I said back in those days, it wasn't like
No.
you were ostracized for any little thing that
Yes,
made you look odd or weird, right?
I would agree. I wanted to join the debate team, and I was scared to because the way it made you look.
Right.
Right. You talked to me a bit about seventh grade, and you were
Yes.
diagnosed. And this is when you were
Yes.
interested in sport, and it kind of put you off your athletics career. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Can you repeat? I always forget the name of it. What the disease was that I had. Osgood's.
Osgood
Yeah.
Shatler's. I was
Osgood
reading about it
Sattler's
today.
disease. Yes.
Thank you. And it has to do with your knees, does it not?
What it had? Well, actually, what it has to do is with your growth spurt. And
Mm-hmm.
what it is that like the bones grew faster than the rest of my body. So what
Mm-hmm.
happens is that the tibia actually lifts the patella up and it sort of
Mm-hmm.
separates at the knee. So like how I found out I had it was that on my knee was like a 2-inch bump
That's what I read about.
where my
Yeah.
patella was,
Mm-hmm.
and I told my mom like what is this? Like did I like I it's not hurting, but it's so he took
Obviously
me to the
something.
doctor and he told me that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So the only real prescription was that for me to not do anything athletic for a year,
Mm-hmm.
so that my body had a chance to adjust and try and get it back in place. Like there was no splint, no nothing. It was just a matter of
Waiting.
the bone, the rest of the body catching up with the rest of with the bones.
And I'm seeing that Superman actually had to do the same thing as you.
Yeah, interesting.
That's really interesting. I haven't experienced, I have issues with my knees, but I haven't experienced that. And so I was interested to see that because it obviously put you off your athletics for a while, which is, unfortunate when you have something that you kind of love and you're happy doing, good or not good, you still enjoy doing it, right?
Yeah, they say it's fairly common with tall young males. Like
Hmm.
you don't see it very much with females, but it's primarily a male trait. I guess because
Male
the
or
women
female,
don't go as
I
tall
wouldn't see it.
as and their puberty is earlier, right? So
Hmm. When you were when you were doing sports in high school, did you carry that all through high school and stay in the chess club as well and the math club?
unfortunately, no. After night, well, during the 10th grade, I felt very alone in school.
Hmm.
Um, there wasn't a lot I was like. Long story short of it is that I was skipping school a lot at that point. So
Hmm.
I wasn't happy at all at school.
Puberty can be a really hard time for people too. Like that whole time of everybody's life is very relatable to have a hard time already, never mind having to face other issues that are bringing you down. Do you know what I mean?
Right. It seemed like the only place where I could actually be with people that had similar interests in that. Would be when I
Mhm.
skip school and go to the arcade and play
Which
video
is,
games.
can we say that's where your love of video games and possibly computers
I've
began?
loved computers and video games since I first saw them, even like before the arcades. Like one of my uncles was one of the first ones to start with a big computer and doing all the programming and everything like in BASIC, and
Mhm.
everything. And every time we visited, uh, I would be right in there and just watching him do code, and it didn't really mean anything to me, but I was so fascinated by it, and
Absolutely.
that was like I said, ever since I was like I think 6 7 years old was when I first saw my first computer in a home, and
Yeah. Oh,
I never got a
that's young
computer.
because
I never got a computer in my home until until like late '90s. I was very late in life.
yeah, yeah. But when you think about it, weren't computers like when it was for you to see one at 7 would have been very early because computers were not common at all
Yeah,
in
well, the
youth.
internet was sort of like the early to mid '90s, if I remember correctly.
Yes, yes, you're correct. Yes.
Yeah, so like I didn't have a computer of my own until I moved in with my current wife, which was 1998.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I mean, I would frequent the internet bars that was around back then and use it in that way in the libraries and such. But I didn't really own a computer of my own.
I was reading that Superman saying basic, not touring. 1974 first PC, but first PC. I mean, PCs in home. I mean, it's just like having a television. My dad didn't have a TV in his home, right? It
Yeah,
wasn't common in that time for you to be young and get to experience that was pretty exciting.
yeah. No, I'm pretty sure it was basic. I mean, it was 10 space da 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 da, da 20 space da 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 da. So I'm pretty sure it was basic language.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was late '70s anyway, like '79, '80. I think was when it was.
So
Uh,
then Superman has it up. 1977 was the first home PC. So you were literally like one of the first to experience that, really,
yeah,
which is cool. I like to me, I'm just that interests me a lot because I'm carrying on to later on when we talk about you being here now,
right.
streaming live on the internet as
Yeah,
compared to where you were and what you've gone through in your story. And I know we're getting into more sensitive areas here, so I'm going to
that's
be
okay.
gentle. I know that when you were in sports, you and I talked about that you were involved with sports in other ways because you didn't keep up with sport, but you did keep up going in other ways, like being a scorekeeper, for example. And you went to
Right.
college as well.
Yeah, in high school, like I said, with the school sports, I wasn't really getting anywhere again because I would be skipping school a lot and such. I mean, I did eventually finish, but I didn't graduate until I was 21 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as outside of school, I was a really big bowler, so I did still have my sports. But I even worked at a bowling alley at one point for 3 years.
I don't know. To me, that was kind of a cool job because you get to see. I mean, I guess you'd see everybody coming and going, and all the kids passing through
Well,
while working there.
I had the midnight shift, so I got all the
Mm-hmm.
drunks,
Oh,
which was fun.
that's a hard role. That's a hard
It
role.
was like, yeah, it was like 11 p.m. until 9 a.m.
Wow.
So I
Was
got
that just
all the
after high school?
that was during high school. It was like yeah, 18. I think I was 17 when I started there. So
Wow.
yeah, for the first 2 years, I was like the pin boy, the one that went to the back and helped, fix any problems that was with
Pin.
machines and whatnot. And then the
Yeah.
last year, because I was 19, I moved to the bartender.
And you after like I know you did bowling and I know you're working there and you were a scorekeeper, you were a PA announcer in college.
Yep, for our men's basketball
Where did
team,
what did you go to college for?
accounting.
Wow, really?
I did, yeah.
Well, I guess math that leads up to that, so
Well,
yeah, it makes
that's
sense.
why I sort of got into it because I'm a numbers nerd, like with
Hmm.
spreadsheets and such like that. Like even now, like look at me with that song thing I do, and it's all about
Yes.
crunching numbers and seeing what's best and what's worst and whatever. That's always been
And
my thing. But
that leads into poker as well when you think about it. When you're thinking about like poker, it has to do with counting
it's
numbers.
all
I don't
math.
understand how you do it.
It's
You
all
were
math
like,
and
I watch
statistics.
you and I'm like, I don't understand how you do it. How do
Right.
you do it?
I don't know, some Rain Man thing, you know.
That's what I'm thinking. I honestly, the first time I caught your channel, I'm thinking I got Rain Man. That's my friend here. My new friend, Rain
10 minutes
Man.
to walk. um,
You used to you were an umpire for Little League as well.
that I was. I started that when I was 19. Yeah, the reason why I had to quit the bowling lanes was that my family moved up north to the Perry Sound
Hmm.
area,
Hmm.
and I finished my schooling there because obviously in the city I wasn't getting anywhere with schools. So it was like, to me, it
Hmm.
was a fresh start. Getting back to high school, I could sort of start over, and I can try and reshape my life a little bit from
Hmm.
the perception that I got from the people here.
Yeah.
Uh, so while I was there, yeah, one of the first job I got was to be an umpire uh, in the Little League, and it was
But
actually well, yeah, in the area there's Perry Sound, and about halfway between Perry Sound and Huntsville, there's a little township called Humphrey,
hmm.
and they had one baseball diamond, and they had a team, and they needed all you need in Little League is two umpires, one home plate and one for the rest of the bases,
Yeah.
and they had one umpire, so I volunteered, and I got my license and everything, and I was a legit umpire. And it happened to be that that little township with the one baseball diamond hosted the Ontario provincial finals one year, so I was able
That's
to do
great.
that as well.
That's really cool. I'm gonna note sorry, Superman thinks you're a card counter. Are you a card counter? Are we gonna reveal that here about
Well,
you?
that's blackjack, not poker, and not real. Well, it's very difficult to card count now, because back in the old days when you'd have four decks or six decks of cards all at once, it would be a little
Hmm.
easier to do. But now what they do is that after the hand is done, they put all the card they put whatever cards you use in the machine, and it reshuffles everything
Oh
every
yeah.
hand, so it's impossible to card count now.
Well, that's sad. I was hoping somebody had a skill we could all go to Vegas together. Is
Unless you get a table that has only one or two tables, the old school tables. Yeah, it's virtually impossible now with the technology of shuffling cards.
I don't even understand the whole like concept of it, so I'm gonna leave that to you and your mathematic expertise. Superman also said, "Is it Wednesday every day there because it's free hump day?" I don't know what that means.
I
I'm
don't
not
know either.
sure. I don't. Okay, good. And it can be for poker too. That's true because Rayman was counting cards in poker. I'm pretty
No,
sure.
it was blackjack.
But I
It was
was it
blackjack.
blackjack?
Hmm.
I have to watch the movie again.
Yeah.
Only because yeah, you know that I'm involved with
Oh,
autism.
the town
That
of
was the first movie I
Humphrey.
saw. Oh, Humphrey. Is it Wednesday every day there?
There,
Because
because
it's
it's Humphrey.
free hump. Humphrey. Thank you for the joke.
Anyways,
I'm gonna move into talking about that you started working in personal training.
okay.
And I knew from the first time I met you that this was a passion of yours. I have paid attention to, I have seen posts of yours. I think they were on Instagram of posters. You have certain people that you follow in particular. How did that transition happen? I think you started training in high school. Is that correct? Or college?
Um, my personally, yeah, it was college when I started actually starting lifting weights and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But the actual personal training didn't actually start until much later in life. It was 2012 is when I first started going for my license.
When did
Uh,
you start with? Because I know you were training people and you also started volunteering at training events as well.
oh, the I would take two. I would volunteer at bodybuilding events. Yes, take two. I was volunteering at bodybuilding events from 2011. That was the first show that we had in Toronto. It's the Toronto Pro Super Show.
Yeah.
which is a big bodybuilding show, part of the IFBB, International Federation of Bodybuilders,
And I have a friend who's in that.
which is
Yes.
a qualifier for the Mr. Olympia competition, which is
Hmm.
the big one every
Hmm.
year that Arnold and Lou Ferrigno and all those guys from the past competed in the past.
Yes.
Um, and I got into that because I've always had a love of bodybuilding. Like I'd buy the magazines and such, but I never really knew anyone that was that hardcore into it when I was growing up.
Hmm.
Um, Other than like the athletes in high school and college that I would, do the scorekeeping and PA announcement. But even then, it wasn't really lifting weights more. It was more the skills of playing basketball or volleyball or whatever sport they were doing. So the only exposure I really had to true bodybuilding was through the magazines back then.
Hmm.
And then when
But then you started volunteering there, right?
yes, yeah, I mean,
And you,
once the I started getting on the internet and then starting with MySpace first, and then Facebook,
oh
and
yeah.
then there was a thing called Body Space before Facebook, which was
Oh,
sort
okay.
of it was through bodybuilding.com, but it was their own version
Mhm.
of MySpace, where people
That's cool.
they could put in all their stats of how much weight they've lost. They have a line graph showing if you're losing weight, it shows your progressions, and put in your workouts and it shows your progressions and stuff like that. So people can sort of connect on that kind of level of whether whatever the goals you had. So you go
Hmm.
to meet people of similar faiths, and that's how I got to meet a lot of the people that I know now is through that. And then once we came onto Facebook, and then sort of grew a little more, and you become friend of a friend, and then friend of a friend as
Of
social
course.
networks go. And I just happened to meet a couple of people who were involved with the organization of this event, and they
Hmm.
were looking for volunteers. And I thought, what a perfect way to sort of get my foot into the door and get to actually meet some of these people
Yeah,
in
and be
person.
in a world that you were passionate about, right? Which I guess would change because you're building new relationships, and from where you've brought your story so far, you had a very hard time with relationships in the past, and you're building a whole new life for yourself within a world you're interested in.
Yeah, I wasn't a bodybuilder myself. Like I was off and
No.
on with weights all my life.
Hmm.
Like to be honest, I think it was around 2006. I was at my heaviest, which was 357 pounds.
Hmm.
And then just that was about when I started going on to the body space. Um, and I met one young woman who's actually one of my speakers now, Jamie Filer. She was one of the first
Hmm.
ones who actually she was just studying kinesiology at that time, and she was looking for people to help
Hmm.
with their goals and whatnot. So
And did,
she actually took me under her wing to help.
I was gonna ask that.
Yeah, yeah. To help me with my weight loss, and at one point I was down over 80 pounds.
That's
Um,
amazing.
yeah,
But you found like a whole set of new relationships in there, right? A
absolutely.
new space for yourself. You built a new space in your life, right? That wasn't the same as what you'd experienced thus far.
That's right, right, right. Because most of my life, like I said, I always felt like the outsider, right?
Hmm.
No matter what I did, I was. I like you, but you know, not enough to be in social circles with you. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So that's
Yeah,
always.
I get it.
So this was sort of my one time where I could hopefully uh, get into something that I am passionate with and meet
Hmm.
with like people. But at the same time, when I first started in 2011, like I was still 290, 280, 290, and I still felt a little awkward because there's all these buff
Of course.
he man, and I'm this still overweight guy, and
And
so
coming from your place, right? Like, I mean, even I would feel like I'd be like, oh gosh, I ate French fries yesterday. And then you feel horrible. But at the same time, you came from such a history of not feeling good and feeling like you're in your fit space, like you're okay in your skin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
which was a very hard
But
thing. Yeah.
you actually trained people in bodybuilding for a while.
Well, I trained people. I wouldn't say it was in bodybuilding, but I did train them in fitness. Absolutely.
Hmm.
So I got my degree. Well, I started going to school for it in 2012. I got my degree in 2013,
Hmm.
uh, and through CanFit Pro in Canada, as well as the National Strength and Conditioning Association in the States. So
Hmm.
I was actually, yeah, a trainer in two different federations.
That's amazing. See, that I didn't know. I know, like I knew we talked about that before, but I didn't know that you had done that gone that far. I do know about you that you did run 5K runs. You did a mud run. I think you did the same mud run as that I did, which is weird. And you did half marathons as well.
Yeah, well, I've done a few 5Ks. The first one I did was one of the biggest competitions in bodybuilding is called the Arnold Classic. It's put on by
Hmm.
Arnold Schwarzenegger down in Columbus, Ohio.
Hmm.
And it's the Arnold Sports Festival now. So like other than the bodybuilding, they have the best American amateur gymnasts and taekwondo and judo and boxing and all these other sports. And one of the things they have is like a 5K run on Sunday afternoon. And
Hmm.
that was my first one. I thought, okay, what the hell? You know what? I'm here. It's a sporting event. Let's go for it. And that's when I ran my first 5K.
That's amazing.
And then since then I ran, I want to say three others.
Hmm.
Yeah, because it was the Toronto. Yeah, there was three others. Yeah,
And I know that
including one on New Year's Eve.
I once skied on New Year's Eve. I thought that would be a good idea to have first powder. It was not a good idea.
Well, you see,
But you,
that 5K was down on the exhibition grounds,
yes.
and the fun part was not just the ice, but we had to run behind the horse stables, where
Oh yeah,
the RCMP,
yeah.
and there's some brown ice that we had to
Brown,
avoid.
slippy ice.
Yeah, it was not ice.
That's horrible. I didn't know that it was. I guess yeah, New Year's it would be icy, wouldn't it? It'd be snowy and icy and horrible.
Yes.
I would never do that in the winter. I hibernate like every good Canadian, most good Canadians. I know that you were training for a triathlon. The triathlon's a really complicated and difficult sport to do.
Yeah, that was my well. Let's just backtrack with that first. And the reason why I was wanted to
Okay.
do a triathlon was in 2013, Christmas Day 2013, I lost my mother to cancer.
Hmm. I'm very
Um,
sorry.
which thank you. Which obviously it was a very quick progression. I think it was just I think it was just under a year from the time diagnosed.
Hmm.
Um, but so I had done all these other events first, the 5Ks and I did the Spartan run and the Warrior Dash, were the two that I've done the mud runs.
Warrior Dash. I was there.
What year?
20. I want to say 2016. I think it was or 15, 15 or
Okay,
16 in Barrie.
I think it was 2012. I think I did mine. So
Oh, okay. Then we weren't in the same one, but we had
no.
the same hat. I'm sure.
You the hat. Hang on.
I've got one.
Uh,
It's over here somewhere.
one of these.
Hold on.
Okay.
Yes, mine's red. I have a red one.
Yeah,
Yours looks way better. Yours looks better than mine, really.
it just reminds me of the Flintstones, the Loyal Order of Water Buffaloes.
Totally. And that's a great show. And yes.
Yeah.
They run what
Um,
noon or 12:30 every day.
that's right. Leave it to Beaver than the Flintstones.
Yeah. And then Young
Uh,
and the Restless.
um, so yeah, well, I was back then. Like I was in the gym constantly, and they had a advertisement for um, basically it was a charity triathlon event up in Muskoka
Hmm.
um, for Princess Margaret Hospital, which is
Hmm.
of course in Toronto, where that's where a lot of the cancer research is being done, and that's where my mom was staying when um, she had the cancer. So I thought,
Hmm.
okay, you know what, for my mother, I'm gonna do this.
Of
I think it
course.
was in February when I saw this. The race was in July, so I had 5 months to train. I
Hmm.
already was a good swimmer. I've run different things, and I haven't been on a real bicycle in years. That was my only issue, and I didn't own a bike, so that was a
Yeah.
bit of a struggle. Like I had the bike at the gym, but it's not the same.
No, I know.
But eventually, I did get a friend gave me a bike that she wasn't using late April, so I had a couple of months to train for
Hmm.
that anyway.
But did you ever participate?
I did participate. I did.
Good.
It was July 5th, but prior to that, um, June 8th of it was 2014. So my mother passed on December 25th, 2013.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then I said I decided to do this race that was going to take place July 5th, 2014.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, June 8th of 2014, there was some tragedy in my family where my grandson was staying at a friend's house, and he his the long story short that he was the place caught on fire. He didn't get out, and he perished in the fire
Which is a
at 10 years old.
horribly,
Yeah.
horribly sad story. Horribly sad. You and I have talked about that prior to now, and I'm kind of honored that you're sharing that here for anybody that's listening now or later on. That's something you can't imagine going through. I imagine that you just, how do you get through that, a moment like that?
I don't know because when it comes to that date every year, it still affects me a great deal.
Hmm.
Like I said, he was only 10 at the time, so it was sort of he was still in that innocent stage of childhood where nothing, you know, nothing was, he got to play, he got to do whatever, like he didn't have
Hmm.
to. I mean, I guess that's the good way to look at it is that he didn't really have to go through a lot of the pain that a lot of teenagers and such have to go through in life. But again,
Yes.
then he didn't have to go through all the, he didn't get to go to his first prom. He didn't get to go driving lessons or anything like that.
And what's hard about that is when you think about, because I've also experienced in my family young death, and what's hard is trying to find some kind of resolution within ourselves. It's almost like forgiveness in a way, even though it's not our fault. Do you
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
How like do you have you worked through things with that you find are good tools going forward in terms of dealing with that kind of tragic event?
Well, through the therapy, it's helped me sort of um, helped me take it one day at a time more than anything.
Hmm.
That the one phrase I hate when people mention is that everything happens for a reason.
Hmm.
That I don't like that phrase, or it was God's intention. Uh,
Yes.
Hi Galactica. Yeah, God has a bigger plan for him. It's another phrase I heard a lot.
I've heard that before. With the almost like an excuse to try to release us of pain, and it really doesn't fix it. I'm gonna interrupt you for a second so you can take a moment to breathe. Days. Hi Galactica, how are you tonight? We are at a very pinnacle point in Days' story. We've talked a lot about his childhood as well as high school and college. We found a lot of interesting information about Days. And we're at June, and you want to give me the year again? I think it's
June
2014.
8th,
Is that correct?
2014. Yes.
Where a very tragic incident happened in his family, where he lost his grandson, who was just 10 years old and was staying at a friend's house for an overnight sleepover and perished in a fire. And the hard thing is talking about those kinds of difficult moments, especially in things like in stream, and facing them and trying to think, how do we move forward with our lives when we can't do anything to fix what happened? And it's a challenging thing to do. It's hard to think about and it's hard to face, but we have to, and we have no choice, and we move forward. And like it's thinking about tools to manage our feelings, knowing that we can't do anything. Do you know what I mean, Days?
Yeah, and I think it was extra hard because I was still thinking about my mother at that point too. Because
Of
like
course.
so the race was coming up. I was training for the triathlon that was supposed to happen on
Mm-hmm.
July 5th.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my mother passed on Christmas Day on 2013. So I was doing the
Mm-hmm.
triathlon in her honor. So I was still constantly thinking about her because I was doing this race for her. And then this happens, and it really set, the pain sort of magnified. Because,
Of course.
my
Because you
mother,
hadn't dealt with your first tragedy yet, and you're going through a second one. It's almost like a scar, a wound on top of a wound, really.
right. So the way I got through it at first was I didn't. I just
Mm-hmm.
let it. I just no. I just let it happen. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like because obviously after a death, there's always a lot of other stuff like the viewings and the funeral and all this other stuff that keeps reminding you of that he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's no sense in trying to bottle it up at that point because it's just going to be on and on and on. So the point is um, just to keep going. Just let it go. Just
Yeah.
just just keep going as much as you can. Um,
And flow through it naturally. I mean, I think you have to. I think
you
most
have
people,
to.
many people, and I think you get it, is that they put it down deep inside, put all the stuff down deep inside, and they don't face it because it feels better at the time to kind of lock it down because you can't handle going all the way there. But you kind of need to, in a way.
Yeah, and the thing
You
is, I
need to
think I
ride
did.
your own emotion.
I still think I did that though because throughout
Good.
most of it, I felt the pain, but I couldn't get it out.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was more a disbelief. Like I can't believe
Shock.
this is happening. Yeah, and I think it all came to a head at the race because like anything that could go wrong went wrong during that race. Uh, well, no, not really, but the fact of my bike, especially with my bicycle, because like I said, I had no practice at all. Like with this
Mm-hmm.
going on, I didn't up through June. I
Of
had no
course.
training whatsoever.
Of course.
I maybe had 4 rides on the bicycle leading up to it, and so like, and if you've been on the back roads of Muskoka, you know how hilly those
Oh,
are.
they're almost mountainous when you're on a
Yes,
bike. They feel mountainous.
I had to get
Superman,
off and walk the bike up the
I
hill
bet.
many,
I
many,
would have.
many times.
I would have.
And after the swimming portion, I was actually about midway of the race. Like I was doing pretty well considering
Mm-hmm.
my weight and everything because I was still around 290, 300 pounds at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then when it came to the bicycle, I knew that I struggled so much. Um,
Yeah, I
and
do as well.
to, be,
Bikes are hard.
to make it harder, like at the beginning, my chain kept falling off. I couldn't
Oh
figure out
God.
why, but I noticed. But when we transported it, I didn't realize that the gear shift changed.
Oh no.
So
Oh
every time I
God.
tried to pedal, it was in the wrong gear.
Oh God.
Yeah. So
You're just
finally,
feeling
so
like
that
I'm failing.
I wasted about 10 minutes just trying to figure that out.
And you're probably at that point cursing and swearing and thinking like I'm damned, basically. But now you can look back and say,
Yeah.
okay, that happened. It's
Well, there was
fine.
someone there at the transition point to sort of help me with it, and we realized it, so they helped me with putting the chain back on and everything. I finally went on my way. But
That's good.
by the time I got to the running portion, so just to clarify, it was a 750-meter swim
Hmm.
in an open lake. Then it was a 20
Yes.
kilometer bike ride, and then a five
Hmm.
kilometer run.
And that bike ride was awful, I'm sure, because those roads, I can't even get my car up some of them, some in the winter,
Those,
to be honest with
yeah.
you.
Well, they said they were minor compared to other roads in the area, but it was still
Well,
pretty
that's
bad.
good. Yeah.
Um, but by the time I got to the running portion, at that point, I knew I was in last place.
But you
Um,
finished. Is this the point?
it was
Tell me
two.
if,
Actually, there was two of us. I lied. There's two of us that were sort of going back and forth with each other. Like I'd
hmm.
jog a little bit, and they'd be walking, and I'd pass them. Then I'd start walking, they'd jog and get ahead of me.
Hmm.
And then finally, around about 1.5 kilometers left in the race, I had all feeling in my legs gone. Like I was just, and I could see the trucks pulling up, taking down all the pylons.
Oh
I
my
can
gosh.
I can see the other cars leaving. Like so, I'm sort of like trudging
It,
along, trying to
but the
finish.
fact is you kept going, and it's so it can be very discouraging when you see a race packing up and you're trying so hard to do this.
Yeah,
But you did finish it. You crossed that finish
I
line.
did finish it. Actually, what happened was, the event was actually the where they had it was at the Lake Joseph
Hmm.
CNIB camp, the Canadian National Institute
Hmm.
for the Blind.
Hmm.
So yeah, so when you're going down, it's the old Highway 69 that we were on,
Yeah.
and you're coming in, you go to their driveway, and then you're on this dirt road going towards the finish line. And like I said, that where the dirt road started, that's where all the cars were parked. So you see everyone
Hmm.
leaving and everything, and then you go around the one cabin that they had, and where the finish line was, and they were doing all the prizes for the top racer, top fundraiser, top all this. In other words, so
Hmm.
no one was even looking at me until the guy over the speaker says, "Our last finisher is just coming in. Let's give him support." And everyone just turned and just started going crazy and
Yes.
encouraging me that last 200 meters to cross the line. And the minute I crossed that line, I fell to my knees and I bawled.
I bet you did.
I
I'm like,
bawled
I feel the
my
tears right
eyes
now.
out.
Coming from where, and I know Superman just came back and Galactica, I think you heard most of the story, but coming from what just happened, losing your mother Christmas Day and losing your grandson just a month, like just a bit earlier to such a horrible tragedy and fighting through to still untrained because you weren't training after what happened
Yeah,
and still fighting through to do it. It was like it had come, like it all accumulated into this one moment. And no matter where you came in that race, you finished and crossed that finish line. The minute you finished that, it finally released.
absolutely, absolutely. And we didn't even talk about up prior to the race, 1 week prior to the race, June 29th.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I lost my grandson to a house fire. June
June 6th.
29th, my grandmother and my um, I don't want to use the incorrect term, but she had a mental disability. I know there's another term for it.
Mm-hmm.
I apologize to anyone who's insensitive. I can't think of it right now.
Okay.
But June 29th, they perished in a house fire in the same house. That was my grandmother fell asleep with a cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
It was a homemade home log cabin basically, and it all went up. So between my mother on Christmas Day, June 8th, my grandson, June 29th, my grandmother and cousin. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
when July 5th came, it was like, yeah, it all released.
But when you think about it, when you think about things like that in our lives, when you have something like big coming up, I know it sounds horrible, but at very least you had something to almost look forward to. But you also took everything. You're like, okay, I know all this tragedy's happened, but I'm going to put my energy here and I'm going to do this. And then once it was over, it was here. The hill was over, and it's almost like everything just released into a puddle. Do you know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
there was nothing else that you had to focus on beyond that, except for what had just happened over the last not even 6 months.
Yeah.
And I think that I want to move towards where that took you in your life. Like, I realized there must have been a very dark period of your life where you had to kind of start finding some self healing at some point.
Absolutely. And actually, it took me a long time to actually find that healing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I thank you for admitting that, because it's not ever, there's a lot of people that say, oh, and then I started self healing and started doing this work. But
yeah.
truthfully, many people don't even realize what they need to do. They're just so hurt, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I admit, I felt like I really didn't have anywhere that I could get the help because when it came to my grandson's death, I have to say, there's an organization in Brampton called the Journey, and
Mm-hmm.
what the Journey is, it's a community based drop-in center uh, that's put on by the North Grammarly United Church.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that helps people, low income, and they had a homework club for their kids, and they had during the day they had mom and child, mom and baby events, and
Mm-hmm.
just everything in the community. And they had only started about 2 or 3 months prior to the death.
Mm-hmm.
But when that happened, uh, they opened their doors right away for us, like for our family, so that we could be sort of alone, away from the rest of the community at that time, and the media and
Yes.
everything, because like yeah, there was a lot of
I
pressure
know
for people to
there
for
was a
the
lot of media coverage.
yeah, and there was
Mm-hmm.
all of the major news stations were there, and
Mm-hmm.
like I almost got in a fist fight with the guy from CP24 because he wouldn't stop filming my granddaughter,
Yeah.
and all she wanted to
Because they
do
want
was
hot
to be
news.
left alone.
Of course. That's understandable, because, I mean, look what just happened. But that's what media does, unfortunately, is they're looking for getting the perfect shot,
Right.
essentially.
So the point I was saying is
So,
with the sorry, the point I was going to make with the journey was that
yeah.
through this death, there was actually a greater sense of community through
Mm-hmm.
this because like so many people came out to help and clothes and food, and Tim Hortons came with free coffee and donuts and sandwiches and whatnot, and another restaurant came with food and so many clothes donated because it wasn't just our family. The entire 14 family complex went
Mm-hmm.
completely out, so everyone lost everything. So the community really came together and got shelter and got clothes and got food and got everything and donations. I think it was over $150,000, $200,000 in donations in total.
Mm-hmm.
So this one event, although it was tragic, it really brought the community together, and I think that was part of the
Mm-hmm.
like if you want to if you're so inclined and want to say God's plan. I think it was pretty helpful for that community to really build to get
It was
to
almost,
more togetherness.
and it's almost like, whatever you believe in,
Yeah,
whatever, like if you believe in spirit or anything else, that there's always like kind of a path. And I know you don't like the line that what's meant to be will be,
yeah,
but um what can bring us together can be just this path that we're meant to be on, unfortunately or fortunately. And I know that everybody knows that we're not born to have any weight that we're not supposed to bear in our lives. I know there's religious backing to what I'm saying, but that's not what I'm intending by that. I
right,
mean that we are given the weight that we are intended to have in our lives, and there's nothing that is unmanageable by us. And I think that you standing here right now in front of me is a test to that,
right,
because you've done some great things since then to bring yourself back up. But not only do that, but get involved with some great organizations in order to inspire others.
right. Yeah. Sorry, I
And
gotta
I
turn
want to
the
know
light
how
on
you,
now. It's getting dark.
that's okay. That's okay. I get it. I turn my lights on early, but I'm in a basement and there's no like there's no outside light, so you can never tell if it's day or night down here.
Right. Okay.
When I know you went through a hard path after that, and if there's anything I'm missing touching on that I don't know about, please do share it. But the when that happened, that horrible tragedy happened, obviously it probably brought you to closer together as a family. It probably drew some lines in the sand at some times because that can do that. Tragedy can do that. At what point did you kind of choose what direction you were going forward afterwards?
That's a really hard question to ask because it's an ongoing process.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like I I want to say it took me at least a couple of years just to sort of get my feet back on the ground and sort of say, okay, now I gotta move on with my
Mm-hmm.
life. Um,
But that's an important if pause in that moment because it's a really important moment to say, I'm gonna I'm gonna move on or I'm gonna keep living in this in the dark, in
yeah,
this dark moment. And you chose to take that moment and say, I'm going to move on. I'm going to move not on, but I'm going to move forward
yeah,
with this being part of my history.
exactly. That's all you really can do. Um, there, I mean, there is purpose in everyone's lives, like regardless of if you believe in whatever you believe in, there is a purpose, and
Mm-hmm.
I really struggled most of my life with figuring out what my purpose is because I really didn't have a sense of a community of my own. Like, I didn't really feel anything with my family. I wasn't close, with my family.
And we talked about
I
your
talk about my
childhood.
parents and siblings.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't have a lot of close friendships. Like I had a lot of acquaintances through the bodybuilding community and such, but it was no one that I
Mm-hmm.
was really tight with. Um, at least
I'm
no
going to
one
give
that,
you a moment.
at least no one close by. Like there was a lot of online support, and that's
Mm-hmm.
that's where I got a lot of my strength from. Was from a lot of the online people that I became close with, and that's
I'm going to
where
give you a pause for one moment and you can
yes,
take a breath for a second. And I'm just going to say, Superman, I agree that
thank you.
media are a bunch of jerks. I have gone through things that, like, not my personal things, but I've been around things that have happened with media that are horrible. It's deplorable, but it is the business and it's unfortunate. It's horrible business, but it isn't something to hate people for. It's a job. It's like being a defense lawyer of people that are horrible. Unfortunately, I am also in a basement, Superman, so I'm down in the depths with you. DNA, I agree with you. I saw this comment. That's why I wanted to pause and give Days a moment to breathe as well. The pain is always there. It is not so much moving on as learning to live with it. And that is exactly it. I remember having my own personal tragedies, and Days, I'm sure you can relate with this, where I was like saying to a counselor, no, but I want to go back to the life I had before. You're going to make me cry. The life I had before. And they just said, that's not going to be. It can't
No,
be. It'll never be. So you have to learn to move forward with the life that you have now and say, I'm going to accept that as a part of my history. And I'm going to move forward with my next story, the rest of my story.
right.
Right.
One of the great things analogies that I've read was picture you have a ping pong ball inside of a balloon.
Mm-hmm.
When the first tragedy strikes, the balloon is deflated. The ping
Mm-hmm.
pong ball inside is carrying all of the space inside of that balloon. There's no air in
Mm-hmm.
it. It's just the ping pong ball. The ping pong ball is the grief. That's all you think about is the grief. And that's all you can think about. And as time goes on and you breathe into the balloon, more space comes into the balloon for the ping pong ball. It's always
Mm-hmm.
there, but it doesn't. You don't. It's not in the forefront. Like it's like if you shake the
Yes.
balloon, you'll feel it, but it'll always be there. And as you blow up the balloon bigger, you'll feel it less, but it's always there.
exactly. But it's just a part of us that we accept to live with and know that we can move with.
Right. Exactly.
And that's a great analogy actually, because you always feel it. You will always feel it. And it's not wrong or bad or sad or depressing to feel that. It is what it is. It has happened and we move on, we let it go, and we move towards our life carrying that with us, but not in a bad way, in a way of carrying that love with us of those people that we lost or the incident that happened, and move forward saying, I'm going to give a good life for on behalf of myself and all of you. Accepting that is strong, Galactica. I have to agree. And I think Days would agree as well.
Thank you.
Days, so you took years, obviously, and I think I can attest to that being agreeable, that you took years to move forward with where you were going to go next. And I know that you ended up with a group. I think you were volunteering with them, and I don't know how you got involved with them, but they were leading towards inspiration. I'm going to let you talk about that now and tell me how it got there.
Oh, what are you talking about? You're talking about Days of Inspiration. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the idea for Days of Inspiration actually came a year prior, in 2013,
Mm-hmm.
through the bodybuilding show that I was volunteering at. One particular woman, another one who's been a speaker at our live events when we had them, Michelle Blank.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she was actually, I just on my Facebook I just posted because today is the 10th anniversary of the day we met. Um, so yeah, it just happened to be, yeah, it just happened to be. I didn't realize it was today, but
Mm-hmm.
one of the very first jobs I had at the bodybuilding show was to pick up the athletes from the airport. Because this is the first time ever in Toronto, so none of the athletes have ever been here before. This was before the up, so there was no real easy way to get downtown from the airport. So
Mm-hmm.
the organizers wanted us to pick up the athletes, and she was the very first person I picked up. And of course, still being overweight, I still had that worry. What are they going to think of me
Of
and
course.
all this. And
Mm-hmm.
Michelle is a fitness competitor. In the world of bodybuilding, she's the one that you always saw on ESPN. They were the ones that they always showed on ESPN. The one that does all the gymnastics moves set to music,
Mm-hmm.
and then flex and then everything. And she was in that category, and like, she's like smallish girl. One whatever. I'm not gonna say weight or height or anything, but
Mm-hmm.
so I sort of stuck out a little more because I'm this big burly guy. And like I would go into the airport to pick them up while the person who was driving the car stayed outside because airports, they don't like people the car staying, you know um,
Yes, I know. Keep
yeah,
driving around. Don't move. Don't
yeah,
stop.
exactly. So I went in to pick up and brought her to the car and everything, and she sat in the front, I sat in the back and everything. And then just out of the blue, she asked me, "So what got you interested in bodybuilding? Like, what? Tell me your story.
That's great.
Tell me everything." Yeah, no, yeah. And then I was like, "What? You want to know about me?"
I'm just driving.
What's that?
I'm
No,
just driving.
I wasn't the driver.
Oh,
That's why
okay.
she
You're just
asked
in the
me
car.
because I wasn't driving. I was like,
Oh, okay.
okay, well, okay, and I told her a little bit of the story and the way I lost and everything, and
Mm-hmm.
she, encouraged me and said that's great and everything, and you know, and we saw each other again throughout the weekend because I'm busy with my work and she's busy training for her or getting ready for her show and everything. So you don't really get to
Mm-hmm.
talk to people, but we did run into each other a couple of other times. And she always had
Mm-hmm.
this big smile on her face and everything. And like if you know anything about the events and you know her, she is one of the best ambassadors of the sport. Like she's actually like everyone you talk to will tell you that she is the most positive, uplifting person you'll ever meet.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's just an incredible ball of energy that has always got a smile on her face no matter what's going on. And then so when she returned in 2012 and returned in 2013, we got to know each other a little better because we actually organize time to go out for lunch and such when we both had breaks and such.
Hmm.
And I really got to know what she was about, and I learned a little more about what tragedies and hardships she had gone through. Like,
And she shared some of that on your stream in your interview with her. Did she
no, I
not?
haven't had her as an interview yet.
Oh, I thought you had one with. Oh, no, no, no. That was not. I was sorry. I was thinking of the other woman that you
That
interviewed
was
two
Brittany.
streams ago.
Yes.
Brittany,
No.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, Michelle. Um, she was a gymnast in college. She had a scholarship, but she kept getting injured. And
Hmm.
then she had her big break in the bodybuilding world in 2012, and uh, her biggest competition ever. And 20 seconds into it, She does one of these double flip thingies that I could never do, and she lands awkward and breaks her foot in
Yeah.
spaces. Three,
Which not only injures you on the spot, but also can change your entire career
yeah,
from
but
what's damaged. Yeah.
it's a 2 minute routine. This was 20 seconds in. She continued on with the broken foot,
That's
and
crazy.
it's like,
That's crazy.
oh my god, like people don't realize the stuff that they've gone through, and it's through
Hmm.
her that gave me the idea for Days of Inspiration.
Hmm.
Whereas people see hi thief. People
Hi,
see
Thief.
the like the athletes, like even in any sport, doesn't matter, hockey, baseball, whatever.
Hmm.
They see the athlete, they see them, they hit the home runs, they hit whatever.
Yeah.
And unless it's a big story where they got injured in their game or whatever, you don't hear about all the hardships that they've gone through in life to get to where they are.
The real life story, the
Yeah,
real behind the scenes. Yeah.
yeah,
Not
every
even the
now
one
and
the
then you'll
media
hear about
covers.
the hockey player that's battling cancer and then he comes back, like Saku Koivu, or
When they're really serious, like cancer, you do hear about it,
yeah,
but not
and
always.
if they're
Yeah.
injured, like as part of the game, and they get injured, okay, well they get healed and they come back. But as far as any family hardships, stuff like that, you don't hear about that.
No.
So that's what I wanted
Or
to
like
bring to the
the
forefront
story.
because like even like in the early 2000s, you had shows like The Biggest Loser,
Hmm.
whereas they concentrated on big people losing weight. That was it. That
Yeah.
was the inspiration to everyone.
Hmm.
But
But they did. I mean, they did touch fairly. They did touch on some like what drove you here, but they never really went in depth in terms of what their stories were, particularly.
yeah,
I
but even
think.
then, like and there's other stories like take the opposite way. People who are anorexic
Hmm. Yes.
and they
They've
found
never done those.
no, no one.
No.
I don't know any show who's ever done anything like that.
Other than
Who's
Dr. Phil or.
great or other diseases like
Hmm.
Brittany here, lupus or multiple
Hmm.
sclerosis or Behçet's disease. Like you don't know this unless you actually talk to them and get to know them, and that's what I
Yeah.
wanted
Like
to. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
it's like about this. No, sorry. It's about their personal battles. Like you don't see what everybody's personal battles are, and every single person here, as well as anybody we run into on Twitch in real life, all have personal battles, and they're not going to sit down and tell you their story every time.
That's right.
But I think everybody needs a space to talk about those things, and needs a space to be inspired to fight through them.
And then there's the people who like say the 15-year-old girl at home who's trying to recover from anorexia and it's just why bother? I'm never going to get any better. Well, here's
Hmm.
someone who's battled it herself, and it's proof that you can get through it. Oh wait, here's
Yeah,
this girl
and
with
then it can be okay.
lupus who's fighting a battle every day, and yet
Exactly.
look at her. She's now a professional bodybuilder, and she's it's that's what I want to do. Is that I'm an embodiment of the obese person. Well, getting somewhat thinner, or
Hmm.
okay, let's not say getting thinner, but the overweight person that still does sporty things like the 5K, the triathlon, the half
And
marathon.
working on their health and not worrying about like not worrying or trying not to worry about their body image or their things that are pulling them back. We talked about so
Right.
many
It's
things tonight.
right.
that could have
it's
brought
not
you
the body.
down.
It's yeah. It's still working through it, no matter what's in your way, right? And
Mhm.
like through my uh, dealing with the tragedy and the weight and everything else. Yeah, you keep going, you pursue it, you keep going, and that's what people don't realize is that you just have to keep going and you have to keep pushing, keep pushing. I, and not many people get that information that it's okay to grieve. It's okay to have the extra weight, but just keep pushing, keep going, keep strong. You know,
And so you brought Days of Inspiration about. Like this is where I want to go to. Is like you brought this
yes.
about, and it became a thing up until COVID, I'm assuming. But what was happening before COVID hit?
Well, we had live events. Um, there was three prior to COVID, two here in
Hmm.
Toronto, and one in Atlanta, Georgia. And we had I think in Atlanta. Atlanta was the first one actually, which was a mistake at the time.
Why? Why was it a mistake?
Having the first one out of town, not
Hmm.
knowing, not having any idea of who the people are
The
or
venue, people, yeah.
venue or anything like that, and not
Hmm.
expectations of ticket sales or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm an
Um,
event runner, so I get that.
yeah,
It's horrible.
I had a couple of the speakers cancel, so we had three speakers, and we had a total paid attendance of two.
Hmm. But
So
you went forward but the thing is you went like,
that
as bad as that sounds, you went forward anyways, despite that. And that's the thing, even about like we'll go into it eventually, but streaming is you go forward anyways because your message carries out, even if a little tiny group hears and they're like, oh, I really wish that, you'd seen this because it's amazing, and then more people hear. You go forward.
right. Exactly. And then we did the next one the next year in Toronto. Thankfully, from the
Hmm.
years of doing the pro show, the volunteering, the organizers said, "Okay, if you want to do this event, we'll give you a free room at the Toronto Convention Center to put it on."
That's amazing. I know
Yeah,
the Toronto Convention Center.
yeah. So we got a room, and we purple. Hi. Uh, so we got the event, and for the first time, like the reason we didn't land in the first place, because that's where a lot of the speakers were in that general area. One was in
Hmm.
North Carolina, one was in Florida, and then Michelle was the main one who was actually living in Georgia at the time. So those were my
Hmm.
three big people that I wanted to have at this event. So it was close
Hmm.
to their home. Um, so I didn't really they didn't accept any payment or anything. I paid for the hotel, I paid for their food and everything. So I was grateful that I was able to do that. But for
But you,
Toronto, like a couple of them were coming to Toronto anyway to compete, like Lake Michelle.
hmm,
Um,
so you timed it well.
yeah, but there was one
Yeah, good.
I wanted to get someone that I felt was a big draw that would get people
Hmm.
to come in, and it was a woman by the name of Barbie Thomas. And I had known her on Facebook for a few years prior. Um, Her story is that she lost both of her arms as a 2 year old when
Wow.
she climbed up onto one of those those big brown electrical boxes you see outside.
Yep, I used to climb those.
Yeah, well, she did too, and then grabbed a live wire,
Oh,
and then
that's horrible.
her both went through both of her arms down to her legs. The legs needed rehab, but they were okay. But they had to amputate both arms, like right to the
Wow.
shoulder.
And she was a
Uh,
bodybuilder? Is that what you're gonna
she,
tell me next?
she is a fitness competitor. She is indeed.
Wow. Wow.
Remind me to
That's
show you a
incredible.
picture later. So
Yes,
I don't think
please do.
with the way I've been having with this computer today, I don't think I'd be able to put it on here today.
But we've got it now. We've got it now, right? We're
Yeah.
fine now.
Yes. Yes. So and just actually, here I go cheering up again. the last time I saw my mother before she died, she was in the
Hmm.
hospital in November. She
Hmm.
died in December, and we were just watching TV, just hanging out in the hospital room, and the television show The Doctors came on.
Yep. Yep.
It just so happens that Barbie was on this episode.
That's crazy. Wow. Like like actually her, not her story.
No, it was her and her story, but she was
Wow.
actually there, and so I told my mom that like I had already booked her for my event like 6 months prior
Hmm.
like, to the event, right?
Hmm.
I told my mom that she was going to be on on my event, and that's that was sort of our last binding moment with each other.
But what a positive like thought for her to have as she's going forward. Because I'm sure she, as a mother, would worry about you as you were a child and all the things we talked about earlier, which was such an interesting life path and one that I think so many people could relate to. That the last moments you had with her, she had such great hopes of the things you were doing and inspired by what you were planning on doing, and you had all these great things coming up for yourself. And you did do them. You really did.
Yeah, I did, and that I said that the day of that event, I really I lost it because I wasn't expecting to speak at all. To be honest with that, I
Hmm.
was there to introduce the people, and then Michelle, the great person she is, through her speech, she decided to bring me into it and talk about
Hmm.
my struggles and everything, and everything, and then I was talking about I talked about bringing Barbie in, and then telling
Hmm.
everyone that my mom. That was the last thing I told my mom was that Barbie was coming to this event, and yeah, it's just
Which
yeah,
I think I think out of all your like I could rehash because I know some people that have come in like that have caught the stream later, and I could rehash where we've gone tonight. I think this VOD has been really interesting, not just to get to know you, but I think so far, and there's more I want to talk about, but so far we've learned so much about yourself, but about how you can face so many things in your life and find inspiring moments to move forward with. And I honestly I feel like that's part of what inspired you within you to do what you did and create Days of Inspiration. I
absolutely
can feel that from your story.
right, and that's why I still feel strongly about it today. So
I'm
the three events I had was in 2014 through 2016, and we didn't. Um, After 2016, so we didn't. I said, yeah, I think it was 20. Superman was right. I think we had about 20 tickets sold for 2015.
mhm,
And then 2016, there just happened to be a lot of problems that year. A lot of the speakers had to cancel last second and through travel arrangements and whatnot. So it became a real clusterfuck, and we didn't really get a lot of advertising in or anything like so. We took a breather from the actual physical Days of Inspiration events for a couple of
mhm,
years,
mhm.
and we were said 2019. I decided, okay, we're going to do it again.
And then
2020,
COVID hit.
20, yeah, I was planning for 2019. I had the all the things set up. May 2020, Victoria Day weekend in Canada, 2020. We're going to go down to the States, North
Mhm,
Carolina. 'Cause that's where Brittany is. And at that time, I didn't know how like she had some real health scares at that time with her heart
mhm,
issues and whatnot. So I thought, okay, she's always told me she always wanted to be a motivational speaker. So I'm going to come to her. We're going to get her on that stage to be a motivational speaker. That was my whole purpose
yeah,
for wanting to do this for her, and then the other
yeah.
people as well. Yeah, May 2020, and then March hits, and that's when COVID
COVID.
hits.
We've been in lockdown for. It
Yeah.
feels like to me, it feels like a year and
Oh, it's been more than a
3 months.
year. Yes.
It's been a year and 3 months that I've been inside, so
Yeah.
I can understand that. What I would like to know is how you started streaming. This is I haven't asked you this. I've never asked you before.
Black Moon.
Really?
She started streaming. I started watching
Hmm.
her. and seeing, then through her, I see other, the people that she raids, so I got to see what other people do,
Hmm.
and I just then I thought, okay, maybe I can do it. I didn't even think about like the days of
You got to
inspiration
redeem.
part of
Sorry,
it.
sir. Days, you got to redeem. Do you see it? There you go.
Okay. Anyway,
Okay, go ahead now.
sorry. Thank you for the redeem. Um,
Thank you, Dina.
where was I?
You're talking about Black Moon and you were
me,
watching Black
me,
Moon.
caveman. I don't know nothing.
I know. I wish I had my hat. I wish we'd
Uh,
planned this. I have my hat in one of these buckets. I just don't know which one.
oh.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll get
So
it.
yeah, Black Moon was doing her streaming and everything, and like I
Hmm.
said, I started through her. I started watching other streams and such, and I thought, okay, you know what? Through lockdown, I'm not working. I'm not doing anything. You know what? I'm gonna try streaming something.
Hmm.
I wasn't thinking about Days of Inspiration, but I did. I still use the Days of Inspiration name just because I actually don't know why I decided to use the Days of Inspiration name from the start. That was just I guess it was just sort of karma that I decided to use it. Actually, when I
Hmm.
first started, I was just DOI1128
Yes, on
and
Instagram. And that if you follow that, everybody on
on
Twitter,
Discord.
sorry, Discord and Twitter, you're
DOI
DOI.
1128.
Where are your socials? Can you post them right now? You want me to
Yeah.
post them?
Well,
Post them up.
some of them have been coming up. The YouTube is there. The Twitch has come up. It's Black Moon's Twitch. Instagram has come up. They are coming up. They're in the mix. Um,
Okay, good.
but yeah. But then people start calling me Doy. So
I've only known you as Days, so even when I see Doy, I still say Days because I know it's Days. If it's Doy,
yeah.
it's Days.
Some people
Yeah.
still call me Doy, even though they know I'm Days of Inspiration now. So, but
Really?
I sort of got that, the Doy. So
Doy,
I
Doy.
wanted to change it. Yeah, Doy.
Well,
Yeah,
it's like
exactly. So
Superman. The first time I saw Superman's name, I was like, I was gonna say Superman. I'm like, I always when I'm writing the number five, or sorry, the letter S. No, the word five. I always put five at like the number five, IVE.
oh
So
yes,
I don't know what it is about Superman, but that five, I get it. I get it.
yeah. No, he likes
But
to
it's
five.
funny.
He doesn't one up people. He five ups people.
Five ups.
Five
The
upper
letter
me.
S wasn't available, or I would have. I get that, but I fell for it right away. It was Superman, obviously,
Right.
and Days is now Doy, but I'm not going to call Days Doy. It's going to be Days forever.
Yeah.
The
Days.
stream started, and I know that we've had. I mean, we met early on before you got affiliate,
Yes.
when you're first struggling. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are trying to reach affiliate, want to reach affiliate. But it's funny, and I think you can relate to this now that you are on the other side, because we talked before and talked after that. Once you get affiliate, it's not like I'm affiliate and then you feel like 100. You get affiliate and then you feel like there's a giant mountain. Am I going to do this? Am I going to not do it? And how do you feel about that? And where are you going to go from here?
Well, you see, I think the streaming has a lot to do with my life growing up, where
Mm-hmm.
I often felt like the outsider, um, and that's through 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 Twitter. I've often felt that way because I'm even though I have this great platform and I have this inspiration thing and such, like anything else in life, you compare yourself.
Yes, a hard thing
That
not
is
to
a
do.
hard thing not to do, but you
Mm-hmm.
compare yourself and you see other streamers that, without being judgy, are
Mm-hmm.
not really doing anything in their
Mm-hmm.
streams.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, hot tub. And
Awkward moment, awkward pause.
aquaverse hot tub. Um, so it well, especially at first it did bother me because it was like, okay, I'm trying to do this great thing, I'm not getting the audience I want.
Hmm.
I know it's a work in progress. I know I have to be patient. I know I have to do it, but it
Hmm.
hurts. And
I get it.
yeah, and I every day I'm fighting through it. Unfortunately, it feels like it at times. Superman. It is a popularity contest, and just like in high school, that's all it is a popularity contest.
It feels like I want to like I'm gonna have a little like I know this is an interview of you, but I'm gonna
Oh,
have a moment here
please.
with you. It is a it seems like a popularity contest. Like I think I started streaming with a goal of 6 months to a year getting affiliate. That was
Yeah,
my original goal. I obviously have reached that goal. And I look at some of the people that are streaming and I look at people at the top and I look at people at the bottom and in the middle. And I don't think it's about, unlike high school, I think it's not about looks. I don't think it's about who has a car or can drive earlier. It's strange, but it's about, I think, honestly, pushing yourself out so much on every single social media platform, being available yet unavailable. And like you don't have to be, the best looking, the thinnest, the heaviest. You don't have to be muscular. You don't have to be anything. It's just something about somebody that grabs somebody else. Do you know what I mean by that?
I do. Um, and I do get that. Like, yeah, a lot of the big Twitch people are the ones that are very outgoing and put themselves out there on all those social medias and
Mm-hmm.
it is a job. It is a full time job. I do get
Mm-hmm.
that, and I'm slowly working on myself and my self awareness, my self esteem, myself to better put myself out there. Because even with the advertising for Days of Inspiration in itself, I was never
Mm-hmm.
the forefront. I was pushing everyone,
Mm-hmm.
all the other people in front. I was not in the photos. I was not, the big advertiser. The advertisement for it. It's all the other people.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
all of these years of being the one in the background, and now all of a sudden I have to be the one that has to push myself to the foreground. That has been a real struggle, and I think that's part of the reason of my um, challenges with
Mm-hmm.
this with streaming at this time.
But then, but you think about it like in a way, and I have somebody else, Grinch as
Yes.
well.
Hmm.
If anybody knows Grinch, and he and I talked about it a bit, and I said, "Why are you streaming?" Because he's not trying to get affiliated. He's not trying to do anything with it, and it's one of the first people I've met that aren't trying to do something with it, and it was basically because they wanted to get more comfortable with themselves and in front of a camera
Hmm. Yeah.
and more confidence, and that's just their goal, their personal goal, right? And we said, well, what was your goal? And my goals are all over like sporadic, but um I think that what's important is what you just said, is that as much as it's like defeating to see other people succeeding around you, and I've watched people around me succeed too. Like I know somebody who's in Toronto who started streaming the same time as me, or about just before you, and they're doing, hundreds a day
Yeah.
in views. And it used to get me down, and it used to hurt, but now I'm like, but why did I start this? I started this because I just wanted to hang out with people. I
Hmm.
wanted to be around people. And whether I reach one person or two people or 10 people, it doesn't matter. If I make a difference to them or they make a difference to me, then that's what matters to me. And I'm trying to keep that in front of my mind, but also being honest. What you're saying is so true. It can feel very defeatist at times.
It can, and even so, the numbers aren't as important to me. It's the
Mm-hmm.
connection with the people,
Yes.
and it's when you have 5 viewers, but they're all lurking.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, where's the connection? Like, it's great that you've got my camera on, and I know you as an example. You put me on because you want to listen to me, and I get that, and I'm not saying anything against it. But when you don't have any, like when, as you say, you want to connect with people, you want, especially in this time of COVID where you're not seeing people in live
Mm-hmm.
capacities. You want that connection with other people, and when you're putting your heart out on a stream, and you got a blank screen of chatters, that's when it brings back the high school days
I
back to
get
me
it.
because
But then
you got everyone here, but
kind
I'm
of,
in the background again.
yeah. And I think that maybe that like it's an interesting point because I'm not going to mention who, but I was on somebody's stream the other night and they were really struggling. And they first thing as soon as I jumped in, there was zero people there, zero audience. Been streaming for a long time, but still streams. And I said, how's your day? And they said, horrible. And I said, why are you streaming? Do you want to go like play a game together? Do you want to chat on Discord? Like, do you know? And they said, no, I just need to be in a space where I'm just not thinking about that.
Right,
And I thought, okay, so it's different for everybody. Because to me, I hear a lot about numbers. I hear a lot about wanting our chat to be going off. I get it. I get the times when I've sat there and nobody's talking, or when people are leaving, or my number. Like I do watch my numbers; they do go down, and I'm like, maybe I'm not meant for this. Maybe I'm meant to support people instead of stream. But at the same time, I see something like that, and they're getting so much out of just being there, even though nobody's watching them.
right.
It may be the thing that's keeping them alive at that moment, if you know what I mean, which is horrible to
I
say,
do
but it's
understand
true,
that too. Yeah, absolutely.
you know?
And you said it's different for different people. Obviously, like people are in it just for the money. Like it's by all means. Like okay, I want all the stream. I want all the subs. I want all the the bits, all the whatever.
Hmm.
They want all the money. And for me, it's never been about money.
Yeah.
It never will be. Days
Yeah.
of Inspiration itself has never been about money.
Hmm.
So if it was, I would have quit long ago because I'm in the red.
Yeah.
It's
I get
about
it.
making connections. It's about helping people. It's about trying. It's about building the community of people who felt like they don't have any chance in life.
This is what I thought you'd say. This is where was kind of going is giving people a space where they are like, this is one of my people, even though I didn't have any people.
Right.
And that's where
Exactly.
we are right now.
Yes.
Hmm.
100%. See, I
It's
knew you'd
good.
get me there. I knew you'd get me there.
I, I know you, and I've seen you. You're in my stream. I've seen you in other streams. I've seen you chatting in other streams. I have sat in your streams quite a bit and talked to you quite a bit. And we've had a lot of good conversations. And sometimes it's nice just knowing you're there when you're streaming. I'm like, if I can and I can be there, even if I'm in a grocery store in line, as you know, I'll hop on and just say, "Oh my gosh, hi." It's just nice to have a friend there once in a while,
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
to be there. Hmm.
Yeah.
And you know that you're a bright light for somebody else.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I said when I
Good.
first started streaming, like I said the Days of Inspiration thing was not on my forefront either. And
Hmm.
then now that I've sort of like with these talks every second Tuesday now, this was sort of an epiphany after the fact
Hmm.
that okay, this is another platform I can use now. Whereas before, I really didn't have, other than the live events, I had Facebook to advertise, I had Instagram to advertise, but there was no real way of presenting who I have in a more uh, community based platform. Because back then, Instagram
Hmm.
and Facebook didn't have these live chats or anything like that, right?
Yes, I know, and they're all competing for it now. I know.
Yeah, now they all are, but
Yeah.
so when I first started, I really didn't have any other platform unless I wanted to pay thousands of dollars for TV or any other
Yes.
commercial type thing or whatever. Like
Hmm.
I'm not a big guy. Like I don't have a lot of income coming in. This is every cent I got is going towards this. When I
Yeah.
went to Atlanta, I used air miles to pay for my car rental to get down there.
Hmm.
Like I'm not said I'm not a big money conglomerate. This is a one guy who's trying to make a change in the world, and
But you're here.
and I know I am, and I know I will on a bigger scale. And I said I believe in it. Like I've got the, I've got all, I'm getting all the advertising, and I'm getting everything that I need for such an event, and
Hmm.
when we're finally able to cross the border and everything, we've really got the big events in North Carolina. We're still going to have it. Um, uh, and through the waiting, it's actually become bigger than what it was going to be. Now, whenever we have it,
Hmm.
it's gonna instead of 1 3 hour event, it's going to be a whole weekend of events now that we're going to
That's
have.
great.
Um,
I think that
yeah,
what I've grown to learn about you since February, since we started. I mean, and it sounds like, oh, you haven't known each other that long, but we really have, because we see each other weekly. Daily. I see you more than I see anybody else. I haven't seen my mom as much as I see you. So
I'm
I
sorry.
feel like we're very, no, it's not that. It's
I know, I
COVID
know,
and
I know.
everything else. But I feel like there's real relationships. I actually heard a great person quote, I think it was on Instagram today or TikTok, where they were saying, I used to reach, oh no, I know what it is. They said, you always think that you grow up and you think my family network is where I'm supposed to go for my inspiration, for my daily drive. And eventually at a point in your life, at some point you realize you turn to the people that are actually giving you what you need in the moments you need it. If
Mm-hmm.
you need a friend in the moment that you are alone, you can, like, literally, I mean, for me, hop on here and talk to you. You can turn on to Discord, you can turn on to your best friend. It doesn't have to be family as it used to be quoted as the most important people in your life. The most important people are the people that are there for you.
Right. Absolutely.
And that to me is the essence of what your channel is.
100%. 100%.
Always here, positive attitude, and always somebody that you can, that will, like, literally be there in that moment you just need somebody, happy or sad.
100%. As you know, like I said, whatever stream I'm on, whatever, I'm always giving my support 100%. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so because I believe in the good of people, and I believe that everyone can be whoever they want to be, right? So if this is your passion, if this is what you believe in, then I'm going to support you, and I'm going to make sure that you become successful at this. Like with Black Moon, anything she needs for the stream, I help her. Uh, I've
Mm-hmm.
helped you in the past with bits and whatever. And, no, that's what I've always been about is helping the other people. Like I
Mm-hmm.
know, like just while I was saying this, I gotta say I gotta work on myself, getting myself in that frame of mind, which I'm working on. I'm a lot better than I had been in the past.
Yes, of
Like
course.
believe
It's been I mean, the great story that we've run through tonight to be where you are now is such a success. It's enormous success for you.
it is, and even with my mindset, like up until 2 years ago, I still didn't have a real belief in myself.
Mm-hmm.
That even though I was trying to do days of inspiration, it felt like okay, you know, I almost let the lack of attendance get to me and say what's the point
Of
and
course. Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. But I have this belief in it that it is needed in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had many people tell me that yeah, this is a great thing. I and it's just it's all about getting it out there, and that's what all these Twitch talks are all about right now is just getting to know the people that are involved and seeing the good that we're going to put out into the world and really try and help the people that needs the help.
Mm-hmm.
The voice for the voiceless, if you will.
Yes.
Yeah, like
For the
the
little guy, basically, as they call it, the little guy.
yeah, and the people the people who give up on themselves because they don't know anyone else who's gone through having lupus or
Mm-hmm.
the little boy who has no arms. Oh, I can't play with the other people. I can't play with the other kids because I have no arms. Oh yes, you
Mm-hmm.
can.
Or I just have nobody to reach out to.
Right,
I just have nobody. And I'm here in my car and I have nobody to reach out to. There's nothing.
right.
And you have somebody. You have somebody and you have something. I'm actually curious, as you were talking, and I know you have a YouTube channel. Have you considered doing a podcast moving forward for Days of Inspiration?
Well, for one, as far as an actual podcast, I don't think I have the equipment for it. As I said, my setup is not 100%, great. I mean, I said I'm on a nickel and dime uh, financially. so it's hard for me to get anything like I could, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like I'm and as you can tell, I'm sort of ha all the time. So I don't know if I'm like I said when I started with Days of Inspiration, I didn't expect me to be in the forefront. Like
Hmm.
I was the idea guy. Here's the people that are going to push it forward.
Yes, I get it.
So
Yeah.
me being the person, like even me doing these interviews, is still nerve wracking to me because I'm okay. People are concentrating on me. Um, um, you
But you
know,
put my face in the middle, sir.
well, yeah, because you're the interviewer, so yes.
I should be off to the side. You should be in the middle. You get that, right? But it's okay. It's okay. You want to be off to the side, you can be off to the side.
Yeah, yeah. No. It was a struggle just to get this, so that's as it is.
I know. I know. I nobody saw what we went through before we got
Oh my
here. It's
gosh.
okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I honestly think that I would love to see Days of Inspiration move into a podcast eventually. I think it'd be something that people could drive to, hopefully, if we're allowed to leave our houses, drive to work listening to, or, you know, in their morning routine, listen to a little Days of Inspiration message for the day, possibly interviews, things like that. I would love to see it move towards that. And I certainly hope that that's where it goes, as well as continuing what you're doing here, which is being that space for people to feel comfortable and loved and important. And that's what you did for me. And I think you'll do that for you do that for other people. So
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I am honored to have been here, like be here today on interviewing you, honestly. And I hope that I covered everything that you want to cover. I wish I could recap everything in a very brief synopsis, but I think it's more important that people actually listen to the VOD and hear the actual story and be inspired by it and relate to it, because I'm sure people can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there anything else you wanted to share with us today in terms of where you're going, or anything that I might have missed in terms of your story and what you want people to know about you and your channel?
Well, you caught all the main things. I don't think there is too much else to really talk about. Like as you know, like so Black Moon, who was a speaker on the third Twitch talk we had,
Hmm.
is a main point in my life where
Yes.
she's been another force in Days of Inspiration. Like she is I call it the vice president because anything that I need for Days of Inspiration, she's right there to try and help me
Hmm.
with it through her young age and everything. Um, and just knowing what she's gone through as well. Like, so we had that bond
Yes.
with each other, and I think she has a big part of this continuing. To be honest with you,
And
through her,
I just want to
yeah,
touch on that and just say I remember the day that everything happened. I think that's Black Moon's story to share. However, the day it happened, everything happened with Black Moon. And if anybody hasn't watched the VOD, I think it's still up. It is up on
it
YouTube,
is
is it
still up.
not
Yep.
still?
Mm-hmm. And it's on, and we
We
also
were
have it on YouTube as well, so it's there.
Yeah, YouTube. So we were chatting in my we were actually I was streaming at the moment everything happened. And that was very recent what happened. And if you haven't watched the VOD, I would definitely go back and check out the interview that Days had with Black Moon. And he is actually going to visit Black Moon this week,
Yeah,
which I'm happy
Thursday.
about.
Yeah.
Hmm. I interesting. I honestly, I want to go back and just say it. Anytime that I miss any of the Days Inspiration talks, I absolutely always go back and watch the VODs, because much like just something to listen to in the car or listen to around my house, I can listen to it and just hear other people's inspiring stories and feel some relatability in terms of we're not alone. We have had hard times. People have hard times and how they got through them themselves. And I love that you carry this message forward. And I really wish you the most success in this.
Thank you so much, Jane. I really appreciate
Thank you. Thank you. I feel weird hosting you on your channel.
that. I think it
Thank
should
you
be
so
a
much for
common thing
joining
now.
me.
You know, you can host every day, and then bring all your friends over.
Thank you so much for joining me on your channel
Oh, you want to
here.
take any
While I sit
questions
here,
first before we go?
I would love to. So that's
If
where I'm at now. If you're comfortable with that and
if
everything we
anyone
talked about
has any
today,
questions, yes, I do that for other
It,
people, so you might as well bring them to me if you have
yeah,
any.
Superman, I know you're very active. If you're here still and would like to ask me questions,
He
absolutely.
knows me
Purple,
fairly
if
well
you're
as well,
here.
so
Okay, so he probably doesn't have any questions. But this was great. Thanks for interviewing. And Mackie, thanks for participating for this Days. I'm really happy that Days did this. And I'm glad that we made it through this with, still space to breathe and just have moments to clarify ourselves. I think. I feel like it went well. I've known Brian a bit longer than you. I'm sure you have,
yeah.
Superman, because you were on his channel the day that I first checked out his channel. I don't even know how. I think we connected through Pichu. Do you remember that, Days?
Um, we connected
On
through
Discord. It
oh,
was
it was no, it wasn't. It wasn't through Discord. It was through Facebook when I was doing the Jack streams, the Jack walks.
oh, I think I could probably call that back.
One of the very first.
Uh Peachy
Did,
had a chat.
did it through Superman? I didn't. Superman was part of Peachy's.
No, not Superman. You and I,
Oh, me.
we were
Yes, me and you was through Peachy. Yes.
and the first time we were in a general, we were actually talking about something to do with mental health, I believe. And I you reached out to me and said thank because I had inputted on what was said, and you said thank you for like saying this because I agree with what you're saying more than what's going on in this chat. And I'm like, then you and I are connecting, Fred, and we started talking from there. And then I checked out your stream, and you're checking out my stream, and that's kind of where it started.
Right. Exactly.
Was connecting through mental health.
Right.
Pikachu, yes, Superman.
Pika. Pikachu.
Pika. Pikachu. I wish I had my hat. I'm kind of sad. Like we've had a very serious talk tonight, but I feel like I want to like dance and put my on,
Between the Pikachu hat and this hat, your warrior hat, yeah.
I won't go back there. It'll disturb the stream now that I'm like in the middle of the freaking thing. But I love what you're doing here. I think your stream is so much fun. I love like every time I can catch it, even when I'm in the grocery store, as you know, when you're doing the wheel and everything. I just have fun hanging out with you, even if it's not like a like super busy chat or anything. I just have fun knowing you're around, and I want you to know that even if I'm not chatting in chat and I say, hey, I'm here. We've talked for like 15, 20 minutes. I'm gonna make some dinner. I'm still just
Right.
have fun. I feel like you're in my house hanging out with me, and it's so comfortable. It's like having the TV on, but better because I can talk to you like a human being.
That's my new slogan. Like TV, but better.
But interactive and live.
Uh,
Write me anytime, DM me, whatever. But thank you very much for this interview. I hope that I did honor to your story,
you
and I will
absolutely
not
did.
forget everything you've shared with me. And I'm glad you asked me because since you shared some of your story with me a while back when we were talking, I was honored when you asked me. So, yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. Said I watch your streams all the time, and I see the poise and the I want to say professionalism because even though you have fun on your streams and everything, you always center yourself and you talk directly to the people that you're actually talking with, the people like directly to the camera, and you take your time to talk to each individual person that comes onto your stream, which a lot of streamers don't do.
Don't do that. I
And
try. It's you know how stressful that
I know
can
it's
be.
hard, and especially when it gets busy, I understand that, and I know you feel bad if you don't. But I'm just saying that I feel your connection when you're looking right into the camera, and it's like you're actually talking to me. And as you say, when we were talking about the mental health and everything, there was a connection there that I really felt like there was like I got you because you weren't just talking to the crowd. You were talking as if you're talking to each individual person on their own. And that's a big thing in this industry is that you make that connection with the people that are following you,
Because that's
and
what was
you have a
important to me
really
when I
good job of
started.
doing that, and that was the number one reason why I chose you to be my host for today because
Thank you.
you
I
have
thought it was
that
just because we
connection.
were friends, but thank you. Thank you.
Well, it's a little
I'm
of both.
honored.
It's a little of both.
Superman, as the host of this stream, it's not my turn. I don't know if we'll get there. maybe I'll have a chat with Days off stream and we can discuss that a little bit, but not necessarily with the purpose of actually me being here. But I think after this talk, I feel so personal with Days. I feel like he's family to me, honestly. So I appreciate this.
Right back at you, Ann. Right back at you. And since we're talking about when this others turns, I'll talk about the next event, the next talk, which talk number 6.
Yes. Yes.
Is a woman by the name of Iris Davis, who is Irish, but that's besides the point. Of Irish descent in the States now. She is 77 years old and is a bodybuilder. She is considered one of the first women bodybuilders in the world. So much that she had to compete with the men when they first.
Well, she was 77, so it must be like nobody doing it then.
She is 77.
That's incredible.
She started in the 50s bodybuilding before the women even had any competitions. Competed in Europe and Ireland. Moved to the States, competed here, obviously now with women, and and her story. She's
not still working out.
Oh, she's competing.
Can we bring her to my? I need to bring her to my house.
Picture of her right now. That is one thing I can do because I do have it available.
I want to see, like, not that I want to see this. Like, I don't believe you. I want to see this. Like, I need somebody to inspire me in this moment to start working harder. Honestly, I'm excited.
It's coming.
Okay.
There you go.
I feel like I need to make a drum roll.
It's covering me.
Oh, there it is. Wow. That is incredible. I know I'm delayed, but wow.
Yeah.
I can't, I need her to come to my house for like a few weeks and yell at me or something. Not that I imagine she would, but I just need her to because, I mean, wow.
And she's one of the sweetest women you'll ever meet too. Like she's such a sweetheart.
That's incredible.
So
and
that's 2 Tuesdays from now. Sorry?
What's incredible, sorry, is just that, to stay that driven through your life, even when you get a little older, you're a little more tired, you get a little more to the, oh my gosh, forget it. Like, I just want to sit down, but she doesn't. And that's incredible. That drive inside her, what's inspiring her. And I would be so curious as to what inspires her to keep going and keep pushing herself.
And in fact, I think it was it was her 76th birthday. So it was about a year and a half ago. She actually had set the record for all women for number of pull-ups.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. So at the age of 76, she set the women's world record for number of pull-ups.
And what's interesting is you look at her and in one moment I'm feeling like horrible about myself because I'm like, I have a pull-up bar that I ordered and it's been sitting on the ground for 4 weeks.
Right.
And I'm looking at her and I'm going, my God, she gets up and does this. So I feel bad. But at the same time, I feel so inspired looking at her saying, but I can do this. And I want to hear somebody tell me their story and say, you can do it. Exactly.
77.
Exactly. Well, no, but yes. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Like we could get there, not tomorrow, but you can do this. It's inspiring. It really is inspiring.
Yeah, it said through the year when she was living, in Europe and going through the I believe she was going through a lot of the problems with the IRA in Ireland.
You can put her up here if you want to.
Yeah, I got her.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
you want to block chat?
She's there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Days, for this.
Yeah, so dealing with the stuff in Ireland and then coming to the U.S. to live a better life and everything. So yeah, that'd be interesting. And to note that for her talk is going to be 3:30 p.m. Eastern time.
Oh, is she in Ireland now?
No, but all of her family are. So I want to give them the opportunity to see her in person live. Of
course, and of course, we wanted to strongly promote that on social media. If anybody wants to share Days' post when it comes out on Twitter. Absolutely. And anywhere else, that'd be great.
She's in South Carolina now.
Okay.
So, yeah, said she left her family because of all the strife out over there to better her life.
And she's
So
never
yeah,
and she's never gone back.
I think she's gone to visit every now and like, on occasion, but not to live now.
Mhm.
Like she, with the last bodybuilding she competed in a couple months ago, she finally got recognition for it in Ireland because she never did when she was competing with the men. She was ostracized.
Because she's a female. Yes.
Yeah. So
Don't even talk to me about that.
yeah, it's beautiful. In the Irish paper, she was front page headline, Iron Nan.
Nan?
Nan, yes, as in
Oh, man? Okay.
no Nan, Nan, as in nanny,
Nan.
as a
Okay.
grandmother, nanny, Nan,
That's what I thought you said. And I'm like, Iron Nan?
Nan, yes.
Yikes. Yikes. Well, I'm sure.
No, it
Fine
was
for
a
that.
positive. Like it was a positive. It's the first positive she got from her homeland in her life
It's
at
true.
77 years old.
It's it's true. Yeah, but she had to wait that long, is the
Exactly.
point, right?
Yes.
Crazy.
Okay, so
Anyway,
yeah,
I'm looking forward to
what's
it.
the word? Let's wrap it up. What's the term there
I
in film?
cut?
No, let's wrap it
Yeah,
up.
wrap. Oh, that's a wrap, is what we say. They
Oh, okay.
usually call cut, and then that's a wrap.
Okay.
And then we all cheer because we're so exhausted. And then we go home and we eat and complain.
And drink. Drink wine.
uh, maybe, or water
Oh,
because you're pretty dehydrated.
okay.
They do feed you. I'm not lying.
Well, yeah, they feed
That's
you,
a
especially
wrap.
when you're holding a gun in your scene, right?
Yeah. They did give me my own booth with a pizza, with my own gluten-free pizza and
Come
lots of
near me, I
water.
dare you.
That was about 3 or 4 a.m. at that point. So because they do them overnight to get all the night shots. So I was pretty tired
For my
at that
friends who
point. I
don't
thought,
know, Anne is an actress, so that's why she had a gun. It was part of her role.
yeah, not a
She's not a
not a real gun.
psychopath.
No, and I don't own a gun. Just so you know. Okay. I'm a pop a cap in your. Yeah, no, that's not it. That didn't happen.
All right, so thank you again for doing this, Anne. I really appreciate it.
Of course, I'm gonna let you wrap up, and I'll stay on the call just so we can chat after if you want to.
Absolutely. All right, so everyone,
Okay.
thank you for tuning in. So I assume there's no more questions. So yeah, well, it is 2 hours into the stream now, so we'll call it a night. Thank you all for coming in and listening to my story, the goods and bad, and everything in between. And I hope you all tune in again next 2 Tuesdays from now, the 29th of June, to talk to our good friend Iris there. 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. British summertime. And I thank you, Superman. That's 200 bits now. Thank you. I didn't thank you for the first 100. Thank you for the second 100. And as always, when you catch me on stream, I am an open book. If you have any questions when I'm on, please feel free. And please check out Anne when she's on her streams. I'm going to shout her out right now because she deserves it because she is an awesome streamer and I love watching her on stream, whether it's getting scared by ghouls and ghosts and zombies and undead, or people just scaring her with the sound alerts and jumping halfway across the room. But Anne really has a lot of good thing. And thank you, Black Snow Rabbit, for the 100 bits. Much appreciated. And
Thank you, Black Snow.
did the cheer go through? I hope. Oh no, I haven't entered yet. There we go. There we go. All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. And where was I going with this? Yeah. So please catch Anne's stream. Like I said, she's fun. Like I said, she makes that connection with everyone. Like she makes everyone feel like they're a friend, not just another person on the other side of the computer. and I really admire her so much for everything that she does um, as a friend. Like, and as she said, family. She makes me feel like family, and I hope. And she said, I hope I make her feel like family as well.
You do.
She really is a great person. I am very honored to get to know you at a level that we have,
Thank you. I'm honored as well.
and I make you all embarrassed.
No, no, I just,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, thank you. All
No
right.
pressure.
You don't know where I was going with that, did you now?
No.
All right. So anyway, yes, thank you everyone for coming in. Again, thank you for all the bits and everyone for coming in and listening. And yeah, I should be on stream tomorrow. My normal fun and hilarity. And then yeah, I said 2 Tuesdays from now, the 29th, will be our next Twitch talk with Iris Davis. All right. So until next time,
Don't forget to
let's
rate out, sir.
let's raid. I don't usually do it after one of
Yes.
these talks, but let's raid. Let's see who's on.
Let's rate somebody.
All right. Who do we got?
Do you know Schmitty? Have you met Schmitty? Do you have somebody more important?
I don't know if I. Oh, I have Schmitty. Yep, I have Schmitty.
Oh, he's got his beard lit up right now, and he's a really casual guy, very much like just into people and really honest. So, I mean, I'd recommend,
Okay.
unless you have somebody you want to go to. I'm just looking through my list, but that's who
I'm fine with
I
Schmitty.
just stuck out to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just looking at everyone that's on my list.
See anybody else you need to go to?
Actually, there's someone who's going for affiliate that I would like to stream.
Okay. Excellent. That's a perfect
And
choice.
since we were talking about Pikachu earlier, there's a young lady by the name of Pika B. Yeah.
Okay.
She's she's only got 2 viewers. She's trying to get her numbers up for affiliate. So I think that's who we're gonna do. She's playing Minecraft at the moment.
Amazing. I will go join you over there.
Alrighty. So again, thank you everyone. First time I realized you can do it. You can get raid through chat. I've never knew that until recently.
It's a new talent. I know. I know what you mean.
I had to go. Okay, let's go to my stream manager and hit the raid button and all that. But no. Okay, so all right. Again, thank you everyone. We're going to be raiding Pika, wonderful young woman, and yeah, thank you all for coming in. I so appreciate this. I was so nervous.
You.
I really was.
That was amazing, Dave. Stay on Zoom. I'll talk to you for a bit, okay?
All right, we'll do.
Okay, cool. Bye, guys.
Hey, we're still waiting. Do 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 do.
Do do do. I'm doing a Stevie Wonder.
Isn't she lovely? Isn't she wonderful? Isn't she precious?
We don't know when it's gonna go to the raid.
Pika pika. Whenever this computer lets me.
And Superman said this is getting deep.
No, this is deep.
Deep. I can't do that deep. I think we're switched. I'm not sure.
No,
have we switched? I think we switched.
On my iPad to see when it switches over.
No. Oh, okay. We'll just keep talking. It's okay.
Talking. So we'll get cut off eventually.
Eventually, yeah. I don't know if